brain tumor and then had that removed and then got another brain tumor and all sorts of things happened. Anyway, it's time for Robert and Rafi has his hand up. Go ahead, Rafi.
Yeah, it's a whole lot simpler than your mind would want you to think it is. First of all, could you just turn it all over to our highest power, our infinite self, and allow it to turn out better? Not want it, allow it to turn out better than you imagine it. If you remember, Lynn, when you did that GoFundMe thing to go to the British Isles, all of a sudden you raised the money and you were able to make that trip because you just got out of the way and people just kept sending you money and all of a sudden you were there and you came back glowing what a wonderful time you had. And all you did was let it happen.
Right, exactly. I didn't even do a GoFundMe. I didn't ask for
I
anything.
wasn't GoFundMe, but I remember saying, you needed, and people, I sent you money. People,
Yeah, everybody sent me money. Yeah,
people owed you, but why? Because it was supposed to happen that way. When you turn it over to our infinite being, is God, whatever you want to call it, and just get the hell out of the way, you'll be amazed at the results.
exactly. Exactly. All right. So here we are. Yeah, and Robert says I need do nothing. Here we are with Robert and Cherie, and we have Robert's wonderful essays. So who is going to read for you tonight, Robert?
I am. Sharon is not going to be able to join us this evening. And so I will obviously be needing some help as we go through with some of the reading, but I'll start us out. Okay?
Thank you, Cherie.
No problem. All right. I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent him who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because he who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal.
I want to just mention here, if we get far enough, I did a complete study of that prayer, line by line, word by word, and well, I didn't, you know who did, and I hope we get a chance to share it.
Okay. Before we continue, I need you to move that up.
I know.
Okay. Yes, if you are interested or just curious, I do still post things that are not in complete alignment with ACIM, but never here or to ACIM groups, especially politics, but only on my personal Facebook page, robertdsears.2025. If you are curious or just need a good laugh, friend me there and get the latest chuckle. Remember, not laughing is what got us here in the first place. For example, I did something quite unusual yesterday. I launched a poll with 2 questions. I would love to hear the responses from this group. Here is the poll. Answer in the chat, or if unable, simply raise your hand and I will record your answers. While the point is hardly evident now, it will be eventually. I will share the results and the reason for the poll next week. For those who know me well, you know I dwell in a borderland between insanity and brilliance. Oh, yes. I want to try a quick experiment with 2 slightly absurd questions. And he made me go through this as well, so it'll be fun.
My first guinea pig.
Can a coin toss land on its edge? Can you create a vertical stack of bowling balls? Don't overthink it, just answer yes or no to each. First instinct only. If you stop to analyze, you might change your answer, and that's part of the point. I'll collect the first 100 responses and share the results along with why I asked. Thanks for playing along. Okay, number 1. Can a coin toss land on its edge? Yes or no?
Well, they can put it in the chat.
Okay, put it in the chat. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
I can't do this on my on
Okay,
my
well,
Then just,
Gail, what are your answers?
the,
Corn on the
the
cob.
answer to number one is yes.
Okay. And the bowling balls?
No.
Okay, perfect, thank you. I guess everybody else can put it in the chat. Okay, as soon as she rewrites down Gail's answers, um, um, she's gonna read the paragraph after 2 days ago. Oops,
you went to.
no kidding. There we go.
All right, 2 days ago, I also created a meme that was posted to my personal page that drew a great deal of attention, including from the ACIM community. I think you might be interested in the response.
That's my response. Okay, I'm gonna play it. If anybody wants to tell me to stop it, I'll stop it. Okay.
2 days ago, I posted a political meme on Facebook. The response has been interesting and even provoked a question from another course student. I would be interested in your thoughts on how a Course in Miracles student, along with the Holy Spirit, could apply the Course's principles to this insanity.
Okay, I'm gonna bring up the meme. Oh God, I hate it when this happens.
It showed up there.
I gotta do this a different way.
Is this so important?
Yes, it's critical
Okay.
to the point. Bear with me a minute, I'm trying. There it is. That's it, right? Oh, that's that's the meme right here. Now let me continue with the story. Assuming I can. Here we go. Okay, just keep reading.
Okay, this was my answer. Thank you for asking this. It's the right question, especially when the world feels anything but sane. I'll answer both as a student and teacher of A Course in Miracles and as the one who created the meme. The Course does not ask us to ignore what we see, nor to pretend that behavior in the world has no consequences. It asks something far more demanding, that we look at what we see without allowing fear to be our teacher. The image I posted was not created to attack a person. It was created to draw attention to a pattern, impulsiveness, reactivity, and the tendency of the ego to seek and misuse power. That pattern is not limited to one individual or one political moment. It is part of the human condition the Course is helping us to recognize and undo. Yes, the image is exaggerated. That is the nature of satire. But exaggeration can serve a purpose. It can bring into focus what we might otherwise avoid asking. And the question it raises is a serious one. Do we really want decisions of that magnitude resting in the hands of someone who appears impulsive, easily triggered, and driven by ego reactions? That is not, at its core, a political question. It is a question about responsibility, awareness, and the consequences of where we place power. From the perspective of the Course, the first step is always the same. I could see peace instead of this. That does not mean we deny what we perceive. It means we question our interpretation of it. The ego looks at situations like this and moves quickly to judgment, anger, and fear. It says this is insane and someone must be blamed. The Holy Spirit looks at the same situation and reframes it as a call for clarity, not an invitation to attack. The Course reminds us, I am never upset for the reason I think. So the deeper work is not about the meme or the figure it represents. It is about what arises in us when we see it. If there is fear, we bring that fear to the light. If there is anger, we look at it without justification. If there is judgment, we question its purpose. That is where the correction begins. This does not mean we become passive. The Course is not asking us to withdraw from the world. We can still speak, write, question, and act, but the source of those actions matters. Action driven by fear adds to the chaos. Action grounded in clarity serves a different purpose. So the intent of the meme was not condemnation, but attention, not attack, but awareness. As both the Course teacher and the creator of that image, my responsibility is to remain aware of the line between using an image to provoke thought and using it to reinforce separation. That line is not always comfortable, but it is always instructive. Sanity, in the Course's terms, is not found in a world that behaves rationally. It is found in a mind that chooses a different teacher. So how do we respond to what appears insane? We refuse to join it. We look at it honestly. We feel what arises, and then we choose again. And from that place, whatever we say or do next has a chance to be truly helpful. Okay. Comments, questions.
Yeah, I had some thoughts.
Well,
You need answers to both questions. Okay, so we'll figure out that too.
yeah,
But yeah,
the first one was a coin, second one volleyball. Okay. And by the way, thank you for the answers. They're great. We're gonna continue.
okay. So yeah, so you asked for comments on this, the situation with the meme, and I put in the chat that there's no order of difficulty in miracles. So, and there are no higher and lower. A madman with a button is no different than a child with uh, a stone that they want to throw. It's all the same thing. So, to me, we're all babies. You can make that meme with every person on the world in their little diapers and nappies and whatever. And whatever it is we're doing, we're just kids playing at at a game. So, the problem is that we think that some are more uh dangerous than others. but it's all equally dangerous. Every bit of it is either equally safe or equally dangerous. And I choose to believe that we're all safe. Safety has nothing to do with the body or the world or the government or anything, the doctors. Safety has to do with my knowing who I am in this dream. And so you know, if a crazy person pushes a button, that's the story and that's the dream. And in the story and in the dream, whatever happens, happens. It's not like it hasn't happened before. And it's not that it might not happen again, but does it matter? What does it mean? And it only means the meaning that I give to it. Anyway, that's what I have to say about that.
Okay.
Thank you, Lynn.
All right. Do you want to go?
I say
Yeah,
ditto
I-
to that. That was great.
Yes, great answer.
Okay. Time is running out. Finding peace in completion. Awareness brings clarity. Time moves quickly, and that truth cannot be ignored. However, awareness does not bring fear. Instead, it brings clarity and focus. You begin to see what matters. Distractions fall away, and purpose becomes simple. Giving your best is enough. You take your assignment seriously. You show up fully and give your best effort. Moreover, you stop chasing perfection. You understand that sincere effort completes the task. As a result, pressure fades. You no longer measure yourself against impossible standards. Peace comes from within. Peace does not come from outcomes. Instead, it comes from acceptance. You recognize your journey. You honor your effort and release the need for more. Consequently, your mind becomes quiet. You feel steady and complete. Sharing with joy, not sadness. This realization is not heavy. It carries a sense of joy. You share it openly, without fear or regret. Others can feel the peace behind your words. Therefore, your message uplifts rather than burdens. Knowing you are complete, you have done what you came to do. You have given what you could give. That is enough. And in that knowing, there is peace.
Okay. If somebody wants to read this, we can give you a break.
Okay. Somebody would like to pick up here?
Namaste, mighty companions. I just want to say, when I was going, I went through this. I'm thinking, ego was really bothering me. You're not doing enough. You're not doing enough. And Lynn mentions every act of love, all acts of love are complete. Thank you, Lynn. And thank you for reading this, Cherie, and thank you for writing this, Bob.
No problem. Thank you.
Anybody want to read?
Does anyone want to read for a bit?
I can read. I don't mind.
Okay,
Thank
Rick.
you, Rick.
I'm
Thank
up for
you.
the challenge.
Uh,
I am here only to be truly helpful, a line by line unfolding. There is something disarming about the simplicity of the opening line. I am here only to be truly helpful, not useful, not productive, not impressive, helpful. And not even helpful in the way the world defines it. The world truly, quietly removes false, everything false we have learned about helping. It strips away ego-driven service, the need to fix, to advise, to be seen as good or right. It asks a deeper question. What is help, really? In the context of the Course in Miracles, to be truly helpful is to extend peace instead of fear. It is to see correctly. It is to recognize that nothing real can be threatened and nothing unreal exists. Help, then, is not about changing circumstances. It is about changing perceptions. And then comes the quiet correction to the I that thinks it knows how to help. I am here to respect him who sent me, represent him who sent me. This is where authorship begins to dissolve. If I am here to represent, then I am not the source. Then I am not the source. I am not the origin of wisdom, love, or healing. I am the extension of it. A representative does not invent the message. A representative carries it. The line gently removes the burden of self-importance and replaces it with something far lighter, willingness. You don't have to be brilliant. You don't have to be perfect. You only have to be willing to represent something beyond your own thinking, which leads naturally to the next release. I do not have to worry about what you say or what to do. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do. Worry is rooted in the belief that the responsibility is mine. What if it isn't? What if it is the constant mental rehearsal, the second guessing, the fear of getting it wrong is based on a mistaken identity? The ego says, it's all up to you. This line says, it never was. I love that. And then the reason is given, because he who has sent me will direct me. Not might, not occasionally, will. Direction is always given. Our direction is already given. The question is not whether guidance exists, but rather it is being heard. The noise of personal thought often drowns it out. Yet beneath the noise, there is a steady, quiet, certainty. Sorry. This line invites trust, not blind belief, but a lived experiment. What happens if I stop trying to control and begin to listen? What if the trust begins to take hold? Something remarkable follows. I am content to be wherever he wishes. Contentment is not contentment is not resignation. It is not passive acceptance. It is the absence of resistance. To be content wherever means the condition no longer define the experience, the location, the situation, the role. None of these determine peace. Contentment comes from alignment, not circumstance. And then comes the reason contentment is even possible, knowing he goes there with me. This line quietly ends the belief in isolation. You are not sent alone. You are not placed in a situation and abandoned to figure it out. The presence that sends also accompanies always. This is not poetic language. It is a direct correction to the core fear that underlines all others. I am on my own. And finally, the closing line gathers everything into a single moment, a movement. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. This reverses everything we think we know. We believe we must be healed first, and then we can help others. This says the healing happens through the extending, not before, not after, during. And even more quietly, it tells us how. As I let him teach me, not as I try, not as I strive, not as I figure it out, as I let it. There is a yielding here, a softening, a willingness to be taught instead of assuming we already know. There is a yielding here, oh, I already saw. I love that.
Is that it?
I was experiencing as I was reading it, and there was this settling back in the chair, but then I tried to get ahead of it.
That's
And then I
okay.
stumbled. But thank you. Is that the end of it, or is this
No,
more?
there's more.
There's more.
Oh, okay. I just
Put it
when I
up
thought
high.
I could breathe.
Yeah.
Um, not techniques, not strategies, not methods or fixing the world, but how to heal. How to heal which, in the course's language, means how to see without judgment, how to recognize innocence, how to remember what is real. And in that seeing, both giver and receiver are healed because they were never separate to begin with. So the prayer, taken as a whole, is not a request. It is a declaration of identity. It is the quiet acceptance that I am not the source, I am not alone, I do not need to control, I do not need to worry. I am here to extend what has already been given. And if even one line is truly accepted, not just understood, but lived, the rest begins to follow on its own.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you. Any comments or thoughts?
It's incredible. The whole thing.
Thank you, Gail.
You know, God, thank you.
Yeah.
You've been a source of peace and understanding. You know, you really have.
Um, this is where, Gail, so you know, this is where we normally start. I'll put up a list of essays like this one, and people will pick one that they want to hear. But there are 3 pages of these. So what I usually
These are
do
your essays.
is I usually go to the first group and let somebody pick one.
Wow.
And unfortunately, I almost falling.
Okay.
Okay. Who wants to pick?
And these are all ones that we have not gone through before.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to pick one?
Rico has his hand up.
Oh, there we go.
Thank you, Miss Lynn. Good evening, family and friends. Thank you for allowing me to be in your presence. I send you love and life from my heart to yours on this beautiful day. Robert, I really want to thank you for that. That's been one of my favorite prayers, and I say it I don't know how many times a day, but you really gave me some deeper insight into actually what I am saying. And it just puts a little more, what can I say? Not just meaning, just a deeper understanding, but not intellectually, in my feeling mechanism with my connection with the Holy Spirit. I really appreciate that breakdown. When I say it again in an hour or two, it's going to take on a new meaning. So thank you.
Thank you, Rico. So does anybody want to pick one?
How about getting older versus growing in spiritual maturity?
You want that one?
Sure. Most of us are getting older.
Why would
some
you
point.
possibly want that?
I don't know. I haven't read that one. I don't remember reading it anyway. So you write so many that I cannot keep up with them.
Those are fighting words.
I think at this point I've written about 200 or 300 of them.
Does anyone else want to read, or you want me to continue?
Well, I got to make a change here.
I can read it.
Okay, let me slow down a little bit. Thanks, Matthew.
Getting older versus growing in spiritual maturity. Age and wisdom are not the same thing. One happens automatically, the other is intentional. We get older day by day, year by year, whether we want to or not. Hair turns white, joints get stiff, memories fade, and the face in the mirror slowly changes. But spiritual maturity doesn't come just because the candles on the cake increase. It comes through inner work, humility, forgiveness, and a deepening relationship with what is eternal. I speak from experience. I'm 86 years old. I started writing at 80, and I'm experiencing the aging process in so many painful ways. That's funny, I'm not. Physically, emotionally, and mentally. My voice, once strong from years of teaching, has been diminished by the effect of throat cancer treatments. My energy is not what it used to be. I forget names, I move slower, I feel the loss of strength and independence that I once took for granted. There are days when the mirror startles me, days when I wonder if I still matter, days when just standing up or focusing on a sentence takes more effort than I care to admit. These are the hard realities of aging, and yet something deeper is also unfolding. While my body weakens, my spirit grows stronger. While the outer self fades, the inner light sharpens and expands. That, to me, is the great paradox of this stage of life. I'm getting older, yes, but I'm also waking up. And that awakening is a choice I make every day. Getting older is a biological process. It requires no effort. But growing spiritually, that's a choice. And often it's a choice made after life has humbled us a bit. In my case, cancer took my voice and forced me to retire from teaching. I once stood in pulpits and living rooms, sharing spiritual ideas. When I lost the ability to speak clearly, I thought I also lost my purpose. But then God had handed me a pen, or more accurately, a keyboard, and I began to write. In doing so, I discovered a deeper voice, a quiet voice within that had been waiting patiently to be heard. There is a difference between aging and awakening. Getting older often brings physical limitations, but spiritual maturity brings emotional freedom. One makes you more aware of time, the other frees you from its grip. I've met people in their 30s who are already old in spirit, rigid, closed, bitter. I've known people in their 90s who radiate light, laughter, and unconditional love. That's my brother. One has aged, the other has grown. Spiritual maturity shows up in how we handle life's inevitable difficulties. As we grow spiritually, we learn not to resist pain, but to transmute it into wisdom. We learn that forgiveness is not weakness, but strength. We learn that peace is not something to be earned, but remembered. One of the greatest lessons of A Course in Miracle is that time exists only for our learning. Lesson 133 says, I will not value what is valueless. Lesson 134 adds, if I defend myself, I am attacked. These are not ideas you grow into just because you age. These are lessons you live into as your heart softens and your mind opens. Spiritual growth is a return to simplicity. It's letting go of the ego's demands and coming back to what matters: love, compassion, kindness, truth. It's not about knowing more, but about needing less. It's not about being impressive, it's about being present. When I was younger, I thought spiritual maturity meant understanding complex ideas. Now at 83, I see that it means practicing simple ones every day with humility. To show up, to love well, to listen deeply, to forgive easily. That is real maturity. Aging can tempt us to withdraw, to say, I've done enough. But spiritual growth whispers something different. It says you still have something to give, not in grand gestures, but in presence, wisdom, and grace. The world doesn't need more opinions. It needs more quiet hearts that radiate peace. The beauty of spiritual growth is that it's never too late to begin. If you're breathing, you can start. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing. Willing to see things differently. Willing to release the past. Willing to love without condition. I've written nearly 30 books in just 2 years. Not because I had a plan, but because I finally surrendered to what had been waiting inside me all along. The voice that speaks through my words today is not a product of age. It is the fruit of stillness, listening and trusting that something greater is at work. Hello. Yes, I'm getting older. I feel the ache of it every day. But more importantly, I'm still growing, not taller or stronger or richer, but deeper, softer, clearer. And that's the difference. Because while getting older is inevitable, growing in spiritual maturity is the real journey. The one that lasts beyond time, beyond titles, beyond even this life. The one that begins, the one that brings us home to who we really are. And the author put in a note. Thank you. I know I did not write this, but know the voice of him who did. And it brings tear to my eyes each time I read it, or any of my essays. Get out of the
Thank
way,
you, Matthew.
it'll come through you. That's what I do. That's what you do. That's the best way to go.
Thank you for the
Matthew.
reminder, Robert. That was beautiful.
It
Thank
was
you.
great.
That was
Here's
a beautiful
here's a-
reminder.
here's another batch if you want to pick something. We still have about
We've got time for
20
one.
minutes.
There's some in there that are pretty funny.
Making anything there that grabs you? No ducks today.
How
What
is
was that last part?
No ducks today.
No ducks.
how about there is no world?
Left or right hand side?
Left side, almost about a third of the way down.
There we go. Okay. Is anybody wanting to read or shall I continue? I take that as a yes. I will. Okay. There is no world. At first glance, the statement, there is no world, sounds absurd, even offensive. We wake each morning to the smell of coffee, the sound of traffic, the feel of a body that ages and aches. The world seems not only real, but urgent. Its problems demanding our attention and its pleasures promising us reward. Yet, A Course in Miracles quietly invites us to question everything the senses report. beginning with this radical declaration: there is no world. This is the central thought the Course attempts to teach. Few sentences in the Course are so blunt. It doesn't say the world is unimportant or illusory in some poetic sense. It says simply, there is no world, period. And yet the Course does not demand blind belief. It leads us patiently to the experience that makes such a statement self-evident. Understanding this requires a journey inward, a gentle undoing of all we think we see. The world we made. The Course begins not by condemning the world, but by explaining its origin. The world we perceive is not created by God, but made by the split mind as a projection of guilt and fear. It is the outward picture of an inward condition. The world was made as an attack on God. It symbolizes fear. This is a staggering claim. The world that seems to stretch before us, the oceans, mountains, wars, and lovers, is a canvas on which the ego paints the story of separation. It is the dream of exile from our source, the proof we believe we are bodies rather than spirit. The body's eyes were made to confirm this dream. The eyes of the body cannot see because the mind decides what it would see and what it fails to see. Perception, then, is selective and biased. It shows us only what the ego wants us to see. Differences, scarcity, and conflict. Through this lens, the world becomes a stage of competing interests where gain must mean another's loss. But Jesus, the voice of the Course, speaks to us as gentle teacher, not harsh judge. He asks us to notice the cost of believing in this world. Every disappointment, every fear, every moment of loss or grief stems from our faith in what is unreal. The more we defend its reality, the deeper our sense of imprisonment. The purpose of the dream. If the world is not real, why does it appear at all? The Course answers that the world of form serves a single purpose until we forgive. It is the classroom in which we learn that we are minds, not bodies, and that love is our only function.
I would, if I was writing this today, I would replace mind with spirit. But go on.
You want to move it up so I can?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. The world you see is the delusional system of those made mad by guilt. Look carefully at this world and you will realize that this is so. In this sense, the world is not sinful, but neutral. Its meaning depends on which teacher we choose to interpret it, the ego or the Holy Spirit. Under the ego's direction, we use the world to prove separation. Under the Holy Spirit's guidance, we use it to learn forgiveness and to remember our unity with all things. The world does not change, but our purpose for it does. And that shift of purpose is the miracle. The miracle does nothing. All it does is to undo. And thus it cancels out the interference to what has been done. In forgiving the world we see, we begin to see differently. The Course calls this vision the real world, a reflection of heaven seen through forgiving eyes. The world of forgiveness. The real world is not a place, nor a perfected version of earth. It is a state of mind in which judgment has been replaced by acceptance. It appears when we stop trying to make the dream real and instead let it be reinterpreted by the Holy Spirit. The real world is the symbol that the dream of sin and guilt is over and God's Son no longer sleeps. This world is still an illusion, but a happy one, a bridge between perception and knowledge. In the real world, we see beauty everywhere because we have chosen to overlook what never truly happened. The Course explains, perception is a mirror, not a fact, and what I look on is my state of mind reflected outward. When our state of mind is loving, the world we perceive mirrors that love back to us. This is not denial, but true seeing, vision that looks past appearances to the light within. The body's eyes may still see sickness, conflict, and death, but the mind that has accepted the Holy Spirit's purpose recognizes these as misinterpretations of reality. They are forgiven illusions, and so they lose their power to frighten. The gentle undoing of perception. To say there is no world is not to reject our daily experience, but to reinterpret it. We continue to walk, eat, speak, and breathe, but with awareness that we are dreaming. The Course uses the metaphor of a dream again and again. You are at home in God, dreaming of exile, but perfectly capable of awakening to reality. Dreams can be pleasant or terrifying, but their content is irrelevant once we recognize them as dreams. Similarly, when we begin to see the world as a projection of thought, its grip loosens. The events of our lives, loss, illness, aging, become opportunities for awakening rather than causes for despair. This shift is gradual and kind. The Holy Spirit does not yank away our illusions, but gently translates them. Where we once saw tragedy, we begin to sense purpose. Where we once saw enemies, we glimpse brothers. Each act of forgiveness lifts a veil, revealing a world a little brighter, a little quieter. Forgiveness is the key to happiness. I will awaken from the dream that I am mortal, fallible, and full of sin, and know I'm the perfect Son of God. Through forgiveness, we are led to the realization that nothing outside us can hurt us, because there is nothing outside us. The mind is whole, and the world is merely its reflection. Beyond the veil of form, even the real world, the Course tells us, will disappear, for it too is part of perception. When forgiveness is complete and the mind has fully remembered God, perception is no longer needed. The final step is taken by God Himself. The real world still is but a dream, yet it is the kind of dream that leads away from sleep. Here, the dream of separation dissolves entirely, like mist before the rising sun. Time and space collapse into the eternal now. This is the end of the journey, the return to knowledge, where the idea of a world has no meaning because oneness excludes all form. The ego fears this disappearance, calling it death, but the Course assures us that only illusions die. The self we truly are cannot end because it was never born. There is no death because what God created shares his life. There is no death because an opposite to God does not exist. There is no death because the Father and the Son are one. When we realize that the body and the world are but projections of thought, their seeming death is recognized as nothing more than the fading of a shadow. Life continues unbroken, infinite, and unopposed. Living in the dream with awareness. While we seem still to walk within the world, our task is not to escape it, but to reinterpret it. The ego tells us to transcend the body through denial or asceticism. The Holy Spirit invites us to use the body as a communication device through which love is extended. The Holy Spirit uses the body only to communicate his message, which is to join. In this way, the body becomes a means of blessing rather than attack. We continue to engage with the world, teaching, feeding, creating, but our purpose has changed. We are no longer trying to make the dream better. We are learning it has no power over us. This is how the world becomes our classroom for awakening. The miracle worker, seeing the unreality of attack, responds to every call for help with love. Each encounter becomes a holy instant where two minds remember their shared innocence. Gradually, the separation that made the world appears to dissolve, and we awaken to the awareness that there is only one of us here. The end of the world. What happens to the world when it is forgiven? The Course describes it beautifully. The world will end in laughter because it is a place of tears. Where there is laughter, who can weep? This end is not a cosmic catastrophe, but the quiet fading of illusion. When all grievances are gone, the world that reflected them vanishes too. What remains is the memory of God, pure joy, peace, and unity. The world will end when its thought system has been completely reversed. Until then, fragments of the world will remain. As long as even one thought of separation lingers, the world continues to appear. But it need not frighten us, for we know its secret. It is a projection, and projections can be withdrawn. Every time we forgive, we take a step toward that final laughter, the recognition that we never left heaven at all. Hang on just a second.
Yeah.
Sorry, but his feeding design makes
Who
noises.
wrote that?
Hang on. Awakening to the real world. The transition from the unreal to the real world is not about leaving the earth, but awakening to love. It is the difference between seeing through the body's eyes and seeing with the vision of Christ. Christ's vision looks past all forms to the light of holiness within. It does not judge because it understands that what is seen is merely a dream. As we practice forgiveness, this vision dawns naturally. The world we once made as an attack becomes a gentle reflection of heaven's peace. There is another way of looking at the world. The world you see but shows you how much joy you have allowed yourself to see in you. When we allow joy to replace fear, we find that the so-called world softens. The edges blur. We seek kindness in strangers and light in the most ordinary things. The world, once a battlefield, becomes a garden. Beyond the world entirely. The final step is wordless and beyond comprehension. When perception is purified, the need for perception ends. The world disappears, not through destruction, but through recognition that it was never there. The world you see does not exist because the place where you perceive it is not real. What remains is what has always been, the quiet radiance of God's love. There are no boundaries, no bodies, no beginnings or endings, only eternal living being. The mind that once believed it wandered has found itself again in the mind of God. And yet, even before that final awakening, we can live with the peace of knowing it is already accomplished. Each moment we choose forgiveness, we step closer to the awareness that nothing real can be threatened and nothing unreal exists. Closing reflection. To say there is no world is not nihilism. It is liberation. It means that nothing here has the power to separate us from love. The world we see is a mirage born of a sleeping mind, but the truth behind it is changeless and eternal. As we forgive the dream, we glimpse the light of the real world, a world of gentleness, beauty, and peace. And when the last shadow fades, we will laugh, for we will realize we never left our home, God. The peace of God is shining in you now, and from your heart extends around the world. The world that never was will disappear into that shining peace, and only love will remain.
Thank you. I want to just jump in here and say something. I heard somebody ask who wrote this. I have to be honest with you. My name appears on the credit, but there's no one here that is not fully aware that I, Robert Sears, could not have written this. You have your own answer.
Robert, are you able to repost your website in the chat where I can access these? I have a new computer, and so I don't have the link any longer. I love these readings tonight. They're hitting me in a deeply. So thank you, Robert.
The other fun thing about the essays on the website is that, well, let me show you. This was something that my guy in Pakistan did that absolutely blew me away. Here we go. Okay. This fact. If I go down here and I click on this, I can go to Chinese. The whole site is now in Chinese.
I have trouble with the English.
I know.
I'm with you on that one.
But here's the thing. Here are the essays. They're not always up to date. My kid in Pakistan can't keep up with the work I give him. And I love this kid. If I could adopt him and bring him here, I would. But every one of my spiritual essays is here, page after page after page, hundreds. And every one of them is instantly available in another language. So if you have people anywhere in the world,
Steve has his hand up and so does Rafi.
you can take and send them this site, give them the name of an essay, and they can read it in their language. I did not do that, but it is absolutely amazing. Thank you, Rafi.
And then Steve.
I just want to reiterate something I said a day or two ago. For me, the proof that the world is not real. I went to the bank, and when I made a deposit, I asked, "Could I have a balance, please?" The lady behind the counter gave me the balance, and it was quite significantly higher than it used to be. And I said to myself, "Who has this money?" Obviously, the body can't have money. How about the mind? Mind is a collection of thoughts and feelings and ideas and data and information that keeps repeating itself mechanically. Well, that can't have money. So who has the money? Maybe nobody has. Maybe there isn't any money. Maybe none of this is real. And then one other thing hit me is if there is all of this money, maybe that's a realization that the reality is that what I am is something called something that is unlimited abundance. And this is showing me a hint of what I really am. Still, it has nothing to do with the world. And it came stronger back to me again. This, what we're looking at, ain't real. It's here to serve. There's the paradox, but it ain't real. Thank you. I got to run now. Bye.
Thanks, Rafi.
Steve.
Gail, just before we close, if you want, we don't just meet here on Tuesday with me. This group meets almost every day. And if you just let Lynn Johnson know, let me know, and I will have Lynn put you on the mailing list that has the whole calendar. Lynn, does that work for you?
Okay.
Okay, Lynn, does that work for you?
Yes, that's good. And I'm putting our website. If you just go to our website, um, you'll see the actual schedule and all the programs that are on, and it's got the links
Okay.
to come into the different groups. It's all the same link, but then also it has a
Is that the
radio.
website? www.acimgather?
Yes,
Okay.
acimgather.us.
Okay.
And it has the calendar, it has the radio you can click on and listen 24/7, different speakers all day and all night, and then uh, other information about what's going on. So you're
And
welcome to join
maybe
us.
Great. Great.
Thank you.
Steve, before we go, did you get your answer?
Yes, it's time to get off the phone, I think, here. I mean, the meeting is about over,
Yeah,
but
It
it's a,
is correct.
yeah.
All
okay.
right, you guys.
Thanks, Lynn. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, you
Nice
all.
being here. Take
Love you
care,
all.
everybody.
Thanks
Thanks a
for coming
lot.
in, Gail. Nice to meet you.
You're welcome. Nice to meet you too.
Bye bye, all.